What lies behind the Dutch seizure? China safeguards Nexperia Semiconductor. An astonishing business battle is unfolding in Eindhoven, the industrial hub on the Rhine River. In the summer of 2023, a Chinese-invested technology company, which had been rooted in the Netherlands for over a decade, paid cumulative taxes of €130 million to the local economy, and employed thousands of Europeans, was suddenly hit by a lightning operation from the Dutch government. Its fully owned advanced chip packaging factory was forcibly placed under a special administration procedure, without any warning. What's more baffling is that this company had, in just 3 years, transformed the previously dilapidated and nearly bankrupt factory into a global benchmark enterprise in semiconductor packaging, with technological breakthroughs that shook the industry. Yet, the Dutch government is now attempting to seize the company's core assets under the pretext of safeguarding national security. From a major taxpayer to a security threat. From an industry savior to an eyesore. What conspiracy is hidden behind this dramatic reversal? Is it possible that, in the eyes of some Western nations, helping the local economy take off and driving technological innovation has somehow become an unforgivable, original sin? The company is Nexperia Semiconductor, which specializes in power semiconductors, essentially the power managers of electronic devices. Our new energy vehicles, industrial machine tools, and even mobile phone charging all rely on it to regulate current. Without it, the entire electronics supply chain would be a pile of scrap metal. It acts like the capillaries of the industry chain, unassuming but indispensable. In the turbulent landscape of the global semiconductor industry, Nexperia's rebirth is a remarkable business saga. Looking back, the company was once trapped in a business quagmire, struggling with losses for consecutive years, its financial statements shrouded in a gloomy cloud of glaring deficits. In 2018, Wingitech Technology decisively stepped in as a game-changer, spending a hefty 26.8 billion renminbi, approximate $3.7 billion USD, to acquire Nexperia with strategic vision and extraordinary courage. Behind this snake-swallowing elephant acquisition were countless financial negotiations and a precise foresight into the future of the semiconductor industry. In the 3 years following the injection of capital, Nexperia, powered by Wingitech Technology's technological enablement and global operational strategy, burst forth with astonishing developmental momentum. Its revenue figures skyrocketed from negative territory, successfully breaking the $2.06 billion mark in 2021 and establishing a strong presence in the global power semiconductor market. Today, over 110 billion Nexperia chips worldwide are operating stably in fields like automotive electronics, communication base stations, and industrial automation. From vehicle sensors to core components of 5G communication, Nexperia chips are ubiquitous. Global top enterprises like Germany's Bosch Group, with its smart factory production lines, and Volkswagen, with its new generation of electronic control systems, have listed Nexperia chips as a core supplier, a testament to the market recognition and technical reliability of its products. However, this spectacular comeback story written by a Chinese company has touched a raw nerve in certain Western countries. Citing national security, the Dutch government brazenly interfered with Nexperia's technology export and production capacity layout, attempting to use administrative means to disrupt fair market competition. From the battle on the commercial negotiation table to the undercurrents of the international political arena, this chip struggle is a fierce confrontation over technological discourse and industrial dominance. This is by no means an isolated case. Behind the Dutch seizure lies the secret of Western technological hegemony, and Wingtech's counterattack is no longer a solitary corporate fight. Let's uncover the truth of this technology war. The Netherlands, turning on a dime, conceals a double standard. The benefits Nexperia brought to the Netherlands are evident. 6 major production sites, over 15% of the global market share, and huge annual tax contributions. Yet, after accepting the benefits, the Dutch government, in collaboration with the court, froze the assets, leaving the Chinese side only with economic benefit rights, while seizing all governance power. More ironically, During the EU's foreign investment screening in 2022, 86% of cases were unconditionally approved, with an astonishingly high approval rate for US companies. But Chinese companies were singled out for special treatment. The review ratio for Chinese companies fell from 7% to 5.4%, which seems like a drop but is actually a deliberate bottlenecking. The Netherlands' forced takeover of Nexperia is a textbook case of weaponizing rules. The Western playbook for suppressing Chinese enterprises has long been expertly executed. Last year, Germany blocked a Chinese acquisition of a chip factory on security grounds. The UK forced the Chinese side to divest its 5G shares, and the US was even more ruthless, directly labeling Huawei and ZTE, spending $3 billion to dismantle their equipment, which resulted in signal blackouts in rural areas, leading operators to complain. No money, no signal. Yet, at the same time, when TCL Zhonghuan acquired the US company Maxeon, the CFI US instantly approved it and praised it as a model of international cooperation, because it aligned with the US energy strategy. This double standard is glaring. If a Chinese company suits your interests, it's cooperation. If it threatens your hegemony, it's a threat. When national security becomes a big stick arbitrarily wielded by certain European and American countries, the term has lost its original protective meaning and is reduced to a Play-Doh tool filled with political manipulation. Take the US as an example. Since 2019, the US government has spent over $2 billion in special taxpayer funds to dismantle Huawei's communication equipment under the guise of national security. This colossal expenditure was ultimately passed on to consumers, and worse still, led to a cliff-like drop in the quality of communication services in remote US rural areas. Local operators were forced to halt network upgrades due to prohibitive replacement costs, leaving tens of thousands of rural users in a digital desert. In Europe, the German government once forcefully blocked a Chinese company's acquisition of the semiconductor equipment firm Eindhoven, citing national security risks. However, just 2 years later, this key German chip manufacturing company was on the brink of bankruptcy due to a broken capital chain, threatening the loss of thousands of high-value jobs. Its semiconductor epitaxy equipment, due to stalled R&D, saw its market share rapidly eroded by Asian competitors, severely damaging Germany's high-end manufacturing sector and significantly frustrating Europe's chip industry self-sufficiency process. The national backing is the Chinese enterprises' amulet. Don't think Chinese companies can only take hits passively. When Weihai Rongchuang was infringed upon in Germany, the state immediately coordinated experts from its European working station to fight the lawsuit using German logic. It won the case in just 13 months, not only receiving compensation but also reclaiming market share. WinGTech has a state-owned background, and national interests are already tied to it. Now, the Chinese government is exerting pressure on the Netherlands through bilateral channels and is also suing Europe and the US at the WTO for abusing their review powers. It's worth noting that when the EU proposed a new review draft in 2024, China directly united 12 countries in opposition, successfully forcing them to revise 3 discriminatory clauses. This is the significance of state power. In the past, in the era of pervasive jungle rules in the global market, Chinese enterprises venturing overseas were like lone boats. When they faced malicious litigation, technical barriers, and other unfair treatments, they often had to swallow the bitter pill due to a lack of effective support, or even suffer catastrophic losses. Today, the situation has changed drastically. The state stands behind the enterprises, building a solid shield. The case of Rongchuang Technology's victory is no accident. It is backed by the nation's 5-year meticulous planning of 46 overseas rights protection outposts. These legal front posts, spanning the globe, with their professional foreign legal teams, vast legal databases, and efficient cross-border collaboration mechanisms, have cumulatively handled over 100 foreign-related lawsuits for Chinese enterprises, defending their legitimate rights with the sword of law. Independent innovation is the hardest moat. WinGTech spent $26.8 billion to buy Nexperia, thinking it was taking a shortcut, but it was still seized. This proves one thing: core technology cannot be bought. Look at the US blockade of semiconductor equipment. The Netherlands ASML is afraid to sell high-end lithography machines, but China developed its own DUV lithography machine, which, while not as advanced as EUV, can at least produce mid to high-end chips. After Nexperia was seized, WinGtech immediately activated its domestic capacity and transferred key technologies back. This year, the domestic factory's capacity already accounts for 30% of Nexperia's global production. This is a cognitive shift. We used to think that mergers and acquisitions can lead to rapid overtaking. But now we understand this is a dead end. Europe and the US deliberately set traps because they fear you will learn technology through M&A. South Korea's Samsung was also suppressed by the US but ultimately became a chip giant through independent R&D. WinTech's lesson tells us, instead of spending money on a time bomb, it's better to invest heavily in R&D. The state is now investing hundreds of billions annually in the semiconductor sector to grasp the lifeblood in its own hands. This is the long-term solution. Are you both outraged and somewhat satisfied after reading this? No matter how arrogant Western hegemony is, it cannot stop China's technological rise. If you want to know more insider stories about Chinese enterprises defending their rights overseas, or the latest breakthroughs in power semiconductors, be sure to follow me. Next time, I will tell you how China's lithography machine is breaking the blockade.